Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to be talking about my CD buying rules. So, I collect CDs, as you all know, and I do make my rules for myself when collecting CDs. So the first rule is it a must-have? Sometimes there's albums, like specific albums you'd probably want to have in your collection. There is that to it, but there's also, because there are some bands where I want to have all the albums, and that includes the Beatles. I have all the albums, by the way, so Queen, the Rolling Stones, The Who, Pink Floyd, Electric Light Orchestra, The Doors. There's loads, the Monkees, Led Zeppelin, they're bands where I want to have all the albums. But there are other bands that I love, like the Beach Boys, AC/DC, Deep Purple, the Byrds, there's loads, the Kinks. I'm probably not going to want to have every single one of their albums. I mean, yeah, I want some of their albums, definitely, but only like specific ones, like the ones that I like the most. But yeah, I'm not really worried about having all their albums. It's not really that important to me. So yeah, for those bands, I'll probably just buy the albums that I consider to be the best ones. And if I see any more out there, like ones that I wasn't looking for, but if I see them, I will get them as I see them, if the price is right. And the next rule is live albums. As a rule, I don't really buy live albums. I usually just focus on buying the studio albums when it comes to collecting a band or an artist. But there are some exceptions. There are some live albums I love, like Queen, Live Magic, great live album. The Beatles live at the BBC, the Rolling Stones, Get Your Yah-Yahs Out. There's loads. But yeah, I don't usually buy live albums. If I see any live albums, like in a charity shop, if it's like live albums of a band that I love, then yeah, obviously I will buy it if the price is right, and it's likely the price will be right, because you can get CDs for CDs are really cheap nowadays, because not a lot of people want CDs these days. But I still do. So yeah, if I see a live album of a band that I love, then yeah, I'll buy it. If I don't have it already, I'll buy it if the price is right. But usually, as a rule, I don't look at collecting live albums, mainly because I think a lot of live albums just sound the same most of the time. It's just them performing the same old songs that they've performed before. And sometimes, another thing we have to consider is the audience noises. Sometimes the audience screams so loud, especially the Beatles. The Beatles Live at the Hollywood Bowl album. It's a great live album, but the music is kind of drowned out by the screaming audience. So yeah, that's another thing you got to consider that's one thing I consider with live albums. And in my opinion, sometimes when they perform live, they don't always play the songs quite as great as they did when they recorded them in the studio. That's just my opinion, but yeah, so I don't really look at live albums. And my next rule is compilation albums and greatest hits. Again, I do collect greatest hits. Like, there's some artists where the greatest hits are probably all I'll ever need. That includes things like Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I love those guys. but they weren't really an album band. They were really a singles band, weren't they? Yes, they had albums, but I can't really name any of their studio albums, to be honest with you. But they had some fantastic hits. I think their hits were their best songs. And stuff like Herman's Hermits as well. I've got the Herman's Hermits greatest hits. Jerry and the Pacemakers, The Searchers, and stuff like that. The greatest hits is probably all you'll ever need. And for me, Prince as well. I mean, I like Prince, but I like the hits. So that's the greatest hits. Probably all I'll ever need. But if I really love the band, like bands like the Beatles, the Stones, obviously I want all the albums. Another reason I buy greatest hits albums, possibly for non-album singles. There's a lot of bands like the Rolling Stones, they had a lot of singles that they didn't put on their studio albums. So I actually did buy a greatest hits collection just for those singles that are not on the albums. And so yeah, that's another reason why I would collect greatest hits, for the singles. And for possible like rarities as well. I do collect rarities compilations as well, like the Beatles anthology. I've got all them. That's all the stuff that they never released before. Yeah, I do buy them as well. Usually I don't, as a rule, I don't really look for them as a rule. But if I see them anywhere, of course I'm going to buy them. If it's any Beatles rarities collection, or Rolling Stones rarities collection, Queen rarities, or then yeah, I'm going to buy it. But I just don't look for that kind of thing as a rule. And yeah, and I don't buy greatest hits albums. Like if it's a greatest hits album where all the songs on it are already on the albums, then yeah, I'm not gonna. Then yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't really see the point of greatest hits albums if you have the albums already. Unless there's some like key songs on them that are not on the albums. Luckily with the Beatles put out Past Masters, which included basically all of their singles and B-sides that were not on their studio albums. So if you get Past Masters as well as the 13 studio albums, you've got everything the Beatles released. You've got everything. So yeah, luckily with the Beatles we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, but as a rule, I do collect greatest hits, but most of the time I usually go for the albums. And my last rule I wanted to talk about is doubles. That means having like more than one copy of the same album. I don't really do that. Like if I've got one copy of an album and it's in good condition, the disc is clean and it plays properly and sounds good and it's in good condition, then yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't need any more copies of it, unless it's possibly a different version of the album, because like the Beatles Let It Be, you've got the original Let It Be album, and then you've also got Let It Be Naked, which is the alternate mix. It's the stripped back version that has all the orchestrations and double tracking removed. And yeah, when you listen to both versions of that album, you can easily tell the difference. So yeah, I do have the original Let It Be, and I have Let It Be Naked as well, and I prefer the original Let It Be, but I still enjoy Let It Be Naked. I do listen to the original one a bit more, but occasionally I do like to put on the Let It Be Naked. But yeah, if it's like 2 copies of an album and both of them are exactly the same, then yeah, I don't need multiple copies. I'm happy with just one, and why waste your money? And plus, why waste space as well? That's another thing you've got to consider. And yeah, also another thing is like maybe the albums, because some, you know, like with the Beatles albums and the Rolling Stones albums in the early 60s, they were released differently in America to how they were released in the UK. The track listings were slightly different. They had like different songs added. And yeah, I don't usually worry about that. Like in my Beatles collection, I have all the I have all the UK releases, and of course the American albums included songs that weren't on the UK albums. But obviously, I don't need to buy the American versions for those songs because all those songs are available on Past Masters. So yeah, they're available elsewhere. So yeah, so those are my CD buying rules. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a video I wanted to do for a long time, and you know, if you still buy CDs, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you make rules when buying CDs. You know, I have watched some videos on YouTube that are similar to this, except they're actually not CD but record. But people have done record buying rule videos. But yeah, I don't buy vinyl records, mainly because they're expensive. I like vinyl records. Vinyl records are awesome. You know, I love the size of them. You know, like especially when looking at an album cover. An album cover looks better on a vinyl record. And I would say vinyl records do sound a lot better. You know, the warm sound and watching the record spin round while listening to it, and the pops and crackles. Yeah, I mean, it's so tempting, but I'm just, yeah, I just can't afford. I can afford CDs really well, but vinyl records, they're so expensive, and plus they take up a lot of space because they're quite big, aren't they? Maybe one day I am tempted. when I get a bigger place one day, which I'm hoping for. And yeah, I'm hoping I might. And if I'm able to afford records in the future, I will collect records in the future. You know, especially the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. I mean, bands like that, they sound great on record, don't they? But yeah, for the moment, I don't collect vinyl. Yeah, I'm happy with CDs. I mean, CDs are great. They don't take up so much space. They sound very clear. Now, in my opinion, CDs are the way to go. Yeah, I'm not really into all this streaming services. Nah, that's not me. That's not me at all. Yes, I do listen to music on Spotify and on YouTube, but I don't use stuff like iTunes or MP3 or anything like that. Nah, that's just not me. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you again soon.